Hello, my name is Lewis and welcome to Gathering the Magic. Today we're looking at a $60 budget Jolene the Plunder Queen deck tech. From the new Capenna Commander set, this human warrior says whenever a player attacks one or more of your opponents, that player creates a treasure token. If you create one or more treasure tokens, instead create those plus an additional treasure token. And you can sack 5 treasures to put 5+1/+1 counters on Jolene. This deck is all about going treasure heavy, using treasure to pump up Jolene and keep her on the board and then battering through your opponents for the win. Now, let's get straight into the deck tech. As always, we're starting off this budget brew hot with all of that ramp. First up is Cultivate and Kadama's Reach to both search your library for 2 basic lands, putting one into your hand and the other onto the field tapped. There's Harrow to sack a land, then searching your library for 2 basics, putting them onto the field untapped, and Gruul Signet to pay 1 tap and add that sweet Gruul mana. We've added Gruul Key Rune to add red, green or pay to turn it into an artifact creature, and Gruul Locket to add either red, green or pay and sack to have as that card draw option. There's Commander Sphere to add either Gruul Colour and Mind Stone to add colourless, both having sacrificial card draw options. Due to having lots of pro artifact loving cards, having more mana rocks opposed to a traditional ramp here is key. And we'll see some of those cards later on. And finally, we have Soul Ring, because Soul Ring. Before we get onto that treasure, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe down below for all things MTG. Subscribing is completely free to do, and it helps our channel grow and grow. You can also support us by becoming a prickly pal today with our brand new channel membership. We've looked at the ramp, now let's look at those treasure loving creatures. Starting off with Glittermonger that we can tap for a treasure token, and Tireless Provisioner that can create us a treasure whenever a land hits the field under our control. We have Slight Budget Breaker Captain Lannery Storm, the Hasty Pirate that when attacks creates us a treasure token. When those treasures are sacked, Lannery gets +1/+0 until end of turn. And Hoarding Ogre that when attacks you roll a d20. 1 to 9 creates you a treasure, 10 to 19 creates 2 treasures, and rolling the big 20 creates you 3 treasure tokens. We have a 2-sheet the Blazing Sky that when dies can create us 3 treasure tokens, and Impulsive Pilferer that when dies creates us a treasure token. It also has that added Encore ability to bring it back with a copy for each of our opponents. There's Gala Greeters that can create you a trapped treasure the first time each turn a creature ETBs under your control. And Gadrak the Crown Scourge that on your end step creates a treasure token for each non-token creature that died this turn. We've got Magda Brazen Outlaw that says when a dwarf you control becomes tapped, create a treasure token. We can sack 5 treasures to search out a dragon or artifact card, putting it straight onto the field. And Horde Hauler, the vehicle with crew 3 that when dies deals combat damage to a player, creating a treasure token for each artifact they control. Finally, we have another budget breaker, this time in Professional Face Breaker. This menacing human warrior says whenever one or more creatures deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. You can also sack a treasure to look at the top card of your library, being able to play that card until the end of your turn. We've seen the treasure loving creatures, now let's look at the other ways this deck has to create you some tasty treasure tokens. First up is Keycard Zorn. This is if you will create 1 or more treasure tokens, create those plus an additional treasure token. And Tempting Contract that at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent may create a treasure token. For each opponent that does, you create a treasure token. There's Big Sorcery Brass's Bounty to create you a treasure for each land you control, and Second Harvest that says for each token you control, put a token onto the field that's a copy of that permanent. Imagine if you had 10 or 15 treasures. Boom, you're suddenly sitting at 20 or 30 treasures. We have Seize the Spoils that we must first discard a card, then drawing 2 and creating a treasure token, and Big Score to do exactly the same but we get 2 shiny treasure tokens. Following this trend we have the also similar Unexpected Windfall to again do exactly the same but create us 2 treasures, and Strike It Rich to create us a treasure with the always great flashback option. We have Risk Loving Treasure Chest to pay for and sack rolling a d20. Rolling 1 loses you 3 life. Rolling 2 through 9 creates a massive 5 treasure tokens. 10 to 19 gains you 3 life and draws 3 cards, with 20 allowing you to tutor for a card. If it's an artifact you can put it straight onto the field. You love to see it. And Gold Vein Pick to give equipped creature +1/+1, and when equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. If we have every which way to create tokens, we're having even more ammo to beef up Jolene and even more firepower to hit our opponents straight in the face with. There's Crack Open for some artifact or enchantment removal, also creating your treasure token, and Treasure Map to pay 1, tap and scry 1 to put a landmark counter on it. If you have 3 or more landmark counters, remove them, create 3 treasure tokens and transform Treasure Map into Treasure Cove that we can then use for colourless mana or tap to get some card draw. There's Sudden Breakthrough to give target creature +2/+0 and first strike until end of turn, also creating a treasure token. An enchantment Fey Offering that says at the beginning of each end step, if you've cast a creature and non-creature spell this turn, create a clue, food and treasure token. On to the final 3, there's Shiny Impetus to enchant creature, giving it +2/+2 and goaded. When goaded creature attacks, you create a treasure token. And Stimulus Package, the ETBs creating 2 treasure tokens. Treasure tokens can be sacked to create a 1/1 citizen creature token. Finally, we have Sticky Fingers. This gives enchanted creature menace, and when it deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. For this deck tech, part of the strategy is keeping Jolene on the field. So to ensure that, we have added cards like Tamio's Safekeeping to give target permanent you control hexproof and indestructible until end of turn, gaining you 2 life. And Commander Staple, Swiftfoot Boots to give equipped creature hexproof and haste. Onto those Umbras now, we have Boar to give enchanted creature +3/+3 and Snake to give enchanted creature +1/+1, and when this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, both with that essential totem armor. There's Spider Umbra to give enchanted creature +1/+1 at reach, and Treefolk Umbra to give enchanted creature +2/+0, it assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power, again both of these Umbras having that totem armor. The more ways we have to protect Jolene, the better. If she leaves the field, so do all of those +1/+1 counters, so we don't want her going anywhere. Finally, we have Enchantment Rancor to give enchanted creature +2/+0 trample, and when Rancor is put into the graveyard from the field, return Rancor to your hand. Before we finish up with all of those lands, we're looking at the best of the rest in this budget brew. First up, we have Savage Ventmaw, a flying dragon that when attacks, add 3 mountain and 3 forest to your mana pool. Until end of turn, this mana doesn't empty from your mana pool as steps and phases end. And Hellkite Charger, another flying dragon that when attacks, you may pay 5 and 2 mountain. If you do, untap all attacking creatures and there is an additional phase after this. If you can piece these 2 attackers together, then with that mana Ventmaw brings along with all of that treasure you're making, you could be comboing off and creating endless extra combat phases thanks to Hellkite. Even better when Magda can search out both of these dragons. There's Fangren Mauler, this is whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the field, you gain 5 life. And big overload removal option Vandal Blast that you could potentially destroy each artifact you don't control. There's Reckless Fireweaver that says when an artifact ETBs under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent, and Salivating Gremlins that gets beefed up +2/+0 until end of turn whenever an artifact ETBs under your control. We have Fathom Fleet Swordjack that when it attacks, it deals damage to player or planeswalker it's attacking equal to the number of artifacts you control. And Wolfgar of Icewind Dale that says if a creature attacking would cause a triggered ability of a creature you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. There's Goblin Anarchomancer to cheapen those red and green spells by 1, and Quicksmith Genius that says when an artifact ETBs under your control, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. On to removal, there's Beast Within to destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 beast. And Cloth's Will to deal X damage to each creature without flying, or destroy up to X target artifacts and or enchantments, being able to do both if you do control your commander. We have Crowsand Grip with Split Second to destroy target artifact or enchantment, and Fling that we must first sack a creature. Fling deals damage equal to sacrifice creature's power to target creature or player. This card is absolutely huge if someone is getting rid of powerful Jolene and we have no way to keep her on the field. For the last 4, there's Aetherworks Marvel that gets us an energy counter whenever a permanent you control is put into the graveyard. You can pay 6 energy to reveal the top 6 cards of our library, playing one of those for free. And Kenrith's Transformation to elk a creature and draw a card. We've got Dragonspark Reactor that gets a charge counter whenever it or another artifact ETBs under your control. You can pay 4 and sack it to deal damage equal to the number of charge counters on it to target player and target creature. And one of my favourite equipment, Mage Slayer, this is whenever equipped creature attacks, it deals damage equal to its power to defending player. As always, we're finishing up with all of those lands, starting off with the basics, of which here we have 16 mountain and 16 forest. There are the classics in Command Tower to add either Gruul colour, and Exotic Orchard to add 1 mana of any colour that an opponent controls could produce. Finally, we have Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse to both tap, sack and get a basic land onto the field tapped. As always, a wide variety of lands are available if you want to upgrade this deck, but to stick to that $60 budget, we've gone for the absolute basics. Jolene is an incredible new commander from the new Capenna precons and one of my favourite of all of the options in this set. I am a fan of Gruul and Treasure, maybe it's time to make this deck myself. There we have it, that is the $60 Jolene budget deck tech. Thanks for watching and don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for all things MTG. Check out our link tree in the description below for all of our social media and affiliate links. For now though, I'm all tapped out, so I'll see you in the next video.